Hello, how are you doing? Great, good, me too. Golly, I'm doing so fine. Yeah. And not only that, but I am raring to go talking about this good old album again. What's it I'm talking about? Yes. When the Pawn! When the Pawn! Great, by the old Fiona Apple. Shall I move myself over so we can see the album cover? I guess that looks a bit better, doesn't it? When the Fiona Apple's face. Great. Okay, so what's going on? We've already talked about On the Bound to Your Love. Limp. Can't see it on the tiny screen. Limp, Love Ridden, and Paperback. So we've got some more to talk about. Let's have a look at A Mistake. Okay, interesting texture, I might say. So we got drums getting us in like that. Already starting with a very clear swung rhythm. Nice, just classic kit choices, I guess. Open hi-hat, always a nice one to sleed into something. And then yeah, we've got this well, so there's lots of instruments going on, but the chords are pretty straightforward. So we've got that E minor 7 going to an A7, very classic. The bass is very classic too. Boom, boom, ba-do, do, do, ba-do, do, boom. Very classic. And then the I guess it's some kind of keyboard going ba da 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 da. Same kind of rhythm as the bass. Very I don't know, what would you call it? Maybe, I mean, it's kind of jazzy, but like in a very old-fashioned kind of jazzy way, without it actually sounding like old-fashioned jazz. Like it feels infused with that, maybe a bit of R&B, like old-fashioned R&B in there as well. And then, you know, these are bluesy chords too. It's all the same. It's very difficult to make the specific distinction unless it's got one of those specific things like extra chromatic harmony that jazz would have, or, you know, obsession with sadness that blues would have. Well, we'll see about those. Anyway, we've got that classic, you could call it a minor 1 to a major 4 kind of thing, this chord sequence. We've also got these kind of squealy things going in the background, going which are an interesting thing that we haven't heard on the rest of this album so far. Maybe we will. And there's a bit of a fuzzed out guitar, which is nice. I'm gonna make a mistake. Okay. I'm gonna do it on purpose. So that the piano's now come in as well, just to fill out the texture. I don't know, is it constant that when Fiona is singing we also get some piano? Might be. That's certainly what's happened here. So we've got the same chord sequence, classic thing. The melody there was just one note. Gonna make a mistake. But then we go, gonna do it on purpose, down that E minor triad. Pretty straightforward though. Really emphasising those swung rhythms. We've got lots and lots. There's no strong emphasis on beats as opposed to off beats or anything like that. We're just getting all of those off beats and beats. Okay, a little bit of an unexpected one there. We got the C and the F and the E minor 7. We've actually got that E minor and F in loads of songs on this album so far. Like there's a bit of E and F stuff on the band. There's a bit of E and F stuff on To Your Love. There's a little bit, no, in fact, quite a lot on Love Ridden. There might not be so much on Paper Bag, and I don't think there's any on Limp. But that's still 3 and now 4 of our songs on this album. So it's a real harmonic staple, shall we say? But yeah, so that's cool, because if we think of this as the 1 and this is the 4, we're kind of in Dorian, but then the flat 6 says no, we're not in Dorian. What are you talking about? We don't think about modes. And then the flat 2 goes excuse me, modes are important. If you think about this in modes, you can kind of go from Dorian for these first chords to Aeolian and then to Phrygian, so it's kind of getting darker with each of those extra chords, which is a cool idea, even if it's totally not what Fiona was going for, most likely. But that's what's happened. Yeah, it's nice. There's a few extra added notes. So that A7 isn't actually just a full A7. It actually feels more like an A minor from time to time. Because there's something in the piano that is going like, so you get the D and C sharp and C going to C sharp. So it sort of goes from a sus4 chord to an A chord to an A minor chord back to an A chord. But, well, all of those changes are so quick that it doesn't really feel like those chords. It just feels like there's a bit of crunchiness in the chord for brief moments. It's clearly an A chord. It's probably clearly an A7 chord as opposed to an A minor 7. But yeah, it's a little bit of crunchiness anyway, and it's nice. Yeah. Okay, we had the B7 chord going into G. Not where we'd expect it to go. B7 we'd normally expect straight back to the E minor 7, but this time unexpectedly we go to G. Oh, nice. We must be in a new section. Okay, so we know that there is not always piano when Fiona sings, as it is not in this section so far. We've got some guitar doing our main chord, which I think is G minor. There's the E minor 7 and the B. Yeah, G minor. So the relative major of E minor is G major. So going from E minor to G major as our tonal centre, not that far, feels kind of the same because we have the same notes in both our keys. Go to G minor, we've suddenly got B flats just in that chord, so it's like, yeah, we have gone from a B in this chord and a B in this chord, the B7 chord leading to this change. B minor, oh no, dark, something dark is happening here. Okay, and these chords were G minor followed by E flat major, with the top triad of the G minor is played on the guitar, and then I think it's just the bass maybe that plays the E flat, but it's clearly there, so it might be E flat major 7 if you like. The drum groove is pretty similar to what it was in the previous section. We've also then got a C minor with the same triad led there. C minor going to F. So before we had a C or a C7 going to F, but now it's a C minor going to F. We've also got a 6-bar loop here. So unlike the first section, which is in classic sort of 4-bar loops, I guess, this chorus bit, if we want to call it that, is in 6-bar loops. We've got a G minor, an E flat, a G minor, an E flat, a C minor, an F, and then we're back to the G minor. But actually, well, are we? Second time? No. We are back into our verse section, if we like. Verse section with the E minor. All the way through both of these sections, we've had that thing going on in the background as well. We've still got those squealy stuff going on. So the texture of both of these sections actually feels quite similar, and the main thing that dropped out, and it really was just a dropout as far as I can tell, the piano dropped out in the chorusy bit, maybe just to make way for the guitar, which wasn't really in the previous section. Just adds a little bit of textural difference. There's not much meaning that I can derive from either of those. Maybe you could say the guitar is a little more harsh sounding and the piano is a little more strong, but well, that's a bit subjective. Okay, there we just lay on the E minor for a bit. It didn't even feel like an E minor 7. Maybe it was. Let's just check. Yeah, it is. It is. There's a still a 7 in there. You just lie on it for a while. Ah! And there's that guitar. It's quite a distorted guitar. Doing something like that, and then bow, 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 which is very fun. Which is C sharp to G, which is a fun tritone. We always love those. Down to C natural, back up to C sharp, or you could call that B sharp, doesn't matter. So the E minor chord, and then when we're over the A chord, bow, bow, down, down, which is a real bluesy kind of feel for a lick. It's a very nice little riff there, adding some more excitement as the song goes on, thickening the texture, all these things. And it's just playing the chords there for those other two chords, the C and the F. Bit of an ad-lib. I mean, we've had a few ad-libs through it so far, but now it feels like we're really getting more emotionally invested in this song. Everything seems like it's ramping up a little bit. Don't we love those? Stops, sudden stops. Way back. I really like them. I think they are a little bit gimmicky to stop like that. At least there's nothing in the lyrics which says stop, because those are the ones which you really go, are you selling me music, or are you selling me fine cheese? And it really feels like cheese in those situations to me, because I'm like, I see through this disguise, this veneer of audio, and I see, really, I perceive the smell behind it. Incredibly pungent umami smell. You know the one. And fortunately, this one doesn't quite have that rustic charm to its fortified taste. It just has a little bit of a little frisson based on that sudden stop and carry on, and it's only a little one as well, so it doesn't feel too interrupty, but yeah, it's just a nice bit of a production trick to some degree, an arrangement trick maybe more apt. Yeah, the texture is thicker, but it's interesting that we can't actually hear that much difference. That there's just a bit more guitar noise there. There's actually still the piano in this section, which might be the main thing that's making the difference. And that, yeah, we really quite I like that bit where she's, I want to make a mistake, but can I make a mistake? And then as we cross the boundary with that mistake, when we're back in the original section. And yeah, this song so far is really like we've got one section and we've got another section. There isn't that much difference between the two sections except that they're in a different key. They link together with the same chords, basically a C chord and an F chord, although we did have that B the first time. Anyway, so that's interesting. What sounds like an improvised vocal bit from Fiona is actually imitated on the guitar, and I don't even really mean imitated, I mean like copied. It's exactly the same. So you've got the same line going in a sort of wah kind of sound guitar at the same time. And we're back in the E minor A7 section here. Okay. Yeah. So this is now a G major section, but the G major is short-lived. But then we do go back to it. So we've got that G major to E flat. Before it was G minor to E flat, which is a slightly less rocky change. Basically because of this B, which is not present in the E flat chord. We've got B flat in that chord. So that B going is what makes that particular chord sequence very sort of, oh my goodness, this is tearing me into a new dimension. I really like that change, and then it just goes straight back, which is which is really nice. It's just like a sudden shift. Ooh, okay, and we're back. We have these kind of sliding descending sixths, maybe something like that in the guitar, which feels almost a bit Queenie, or definitely some kind of rock band from the 70s would do that a lot. I can't think of exactly who it might be. Definitely happens in Epic by Faith No More, but that's definitely not what they're trying to imitate in this situation. But that's what it feels like. And frankly, they might not be able to, I don't mean able to, I mean they might not be aiming to imitate anyone anyway. So who knows? Yeah. And that time it was actually, it sounded the same, G to E flat, but it was actually, it had an E in the bass. So that changes this G major chord into an E minor 7 chord, like we started with, but this one still goes to the E flat, but it's even more fun than before, because in the G chord we just had the B going down a semitone, but in the E chord we've got E and G, no sorry, E and B, and they're both going down a semitone, while the note in between, the G, stays in the same place. So it really feels like a whole shift around this center. Like, yeah, you get a real new perspective on the sound from that. At least I do. Okay, some fun stuff in the guitars there. Same kind of thing, but just a little bit more elaborated. And Fiona's doing the same thing. it's in thirds, going down to a fourth there, while the bass descends, I think. Yeah, so then we go to a C chord, split between the guitars. I don't think there's much going on else in the texture, but the drums are coming to a halt here as well. So that's a C chord, same kind of thing, just sliding down to the next note in the chord in fourths or thirds. Yeah, good, nice fill. The drums are kind of locked to the guitar. Neither of them feel exactly in time, which is fun. And then I think we're doing something diminished. Let's hear that one more time. Yeah. I think it's that. So that's looking like a, what should we call that? Let's call it a D diminished followed by an E flat diminished chord. And then we're going back to our E minor 7. And we've got a lovely guitar solo coming in. This fuzzy sound is really like Who's That Lady? By the Isley Brothers. That's what it reminds me of anyway, that particular sound. That's my provenance for it. If you can think of any other songs which it sounds like, do let me know. But yeah, that's what it gets from me. There's a fun bit there. I don't feel like I should really comment on exactly what guitar solos are doing most of the time, but there's a fun bit there which is very well composed, if such a thing is fair to say about it. So, yeah. Yeah. You know what, no. So we got these pre-bends, bending down, and then going up a fifth, going up a sharp fifth or a flat sixth, and then up to the E when we're there. So that's on the C. We're on on the C. We're on a D, so that's like an add 9. That's quite nice. And then on the F chord, we're on an E flat, so that makes that a lovely F7. And then when we get to the E chord, we're at E. It's really well designed. You could even, if you wanted, and you're really a stickler for classical harmony analysis, you could think of this F chord as the rare German sixth on a flat 2, which does happen. So this would then be a D sharp instead of an E flat. Whatever, they are the same. And then we get back to our groove. That was a really nice diversion. Let's see if the guitar solo carries on. Yeah, we couldn't just have 4 bars of guitar solo. Yeah, and we've got that bum, bum, bum going on as well. And we had a something like that in the background too. Just a nice extra touch. There's that B chord leading us into the G minor section. C minor, F. Yeah. How can I make a mistake? Yeah. Same thing again. Really cool. So it's just a simple melody, and they often are, but you know, it's just going da 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 da, and then that da da. Instead of going back down to the wanna, we're going down to the A every time. C A C A C A C A. This time we go C B, and that brings us back into the other section like before. And again, we had Fiona and the guitar singing the same line. can't tell if it was exactly the same. It did kind of sound the same, but it's led us to a different thing. We've got a lot of C there, and now we're actually in our bridge section again, if we want to call it that. Our G major section, G major to E flat and back. Oh, it's not a C, sorry. Huh, let me just listen to that again. It goes to G. So we got E, A, and there's the G, yeah, sorry, my mistake. Ah, yeah. So that is actually not a G chord. It is an E minor 7 chord right from the beginning. Let's just see if I got it wrong the first time, shall we? The fact is I just mistake, or I may not. So it's after this section, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. There's the G. Oh yeah. No, yeah. Okay, fair enough. It was E minor the first time. I heard it as G, don't know why, but yeah, there we go. Okay, and here we are again. Feels very similar to the first bit. Oh, but we've got maybe a higher guitar? Yeah, there's a very high guitar there. And that's the same as it was before. Yeah, there's this guitar up in this top octave here, which is very quiet in the mix, really, or at least it is to my old ears. I'm going through the same chords here, but that feels much more like a full B flat 7 chord and a B7 chord. Previously we had these diminished chords. I couldn't hear the bass going with it there. Let's just go back, seeing as I have already embarrassed myself once. Yeah, arguably the bass is doing those notes. It's not actually super clear. I'm just going to turn it up a tiny bit for my own benefit. Yeah, it isn't very clear actually. I think the bass might be slightly out of tune. That's my excuse anyway. Anyway, after that we are back into our... Where are we? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, back into E minor. And back with another guitar solo. We've still got those things going on. They're a little bit less present in the mix now because we're a bit thicker overall. Maybe the drums have come up a bit, but the drums are always present through this song. So we've got this little thing up the octave from that, which is quite nice. I can't tell what's making that. It's a little bit distorted and fun sounding. More sort of warping of some of these sounds going on, which is fun. I heard a tiny bit of just very clean finger-picked guitar maybe in the background there, but well, it was only passing, and I'm not going to dwell on it. Anyway, this is clearly a classic outro like we've had on the Bound and To Your Love and to some degree Paper Bag. These long outros made for jamming over. just before the end there. Just before the end there, the bass has stopped moving. It's just holding E. We've got these different lines just taking precedence at different points there, which is really fun. And now the bass is, yeah, not moving, it's just holding. As the last bit there is funny, because you feel after such a long thing that you'd expect a really crisp ending where everything lines up, but that isn't what happens. Just most things stop and then fun. Anyway, Fast As You Can, which is probably my favourite song on this album. A lot to talk about here. But yeah, A Mistake was definitely a great song. Really enjoyable groove all the way through. Same kind of groove going through, but then we had all these different key centers playing around with our feelings. Do you like it when people play around with your feelings? I do. Fast As You Can. Yeah. Gosh. Okay, such rhythm in this song. The snare on this one in particular is so tight sounding snare. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah, really good. Yeah, so we start with, again, slightly distorted. It's a pretty common thing for this album to slightly mess with its drums to begin with and then bring them in really crisp and dry sounding after that, and that's exactly what we've got going on here again. Just quite a fun intro, ba, 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 and then we're in. Yeah. So the rhythm then is focusing on 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1, 2, 3 and. So we've got the 2 emphasized, but we've also got the one in between 3 and 4 emphasized. We're very, very tightly, what's the word, straight quavers here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and Okay, so it's not just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but it's 1 and 2 and 3 and we've also got very reliable semi-quavers going 1, 2, I let the beast in too soon. I don't know how to live without my handler. Yeah, at the end as well. Yeah, something like that. I'm not the best vocal percussionist. What chords have we got? We might as well have a look. Yeah, it's great. So we got E again, E7 this time, and F again. Now, this F chord, I think, is a F major 7 add 11, but actually it might not have that 7 in. So it's definitely got that. Yeah, I don't think it has the 7 in. Does it have a 9 in? Yeah, it does. Oh. Is it actually a G chord? I can't hear the D. Yeah, that's what it feels like. I think it's incomplete. I think we haven't got all the notes, but it feels like E7 followed by what is basically G on F. So G7 on F, G, third inversion. But if we can find an E flat in that chord, that would change things. But it's not there. Yeah. That's kind of cool in itself because we've got the G sharp of this E chord. Normally if we were going to an F chord, that would just go up to A, but instead it goes from G sharp to G, which is yeah, another kind of tonal shift there. Again, have you noticed it's E and F? E and F again. We love E and F on this album. But yeah, it's sort of like it's not really functioning like what a G second inversion, sorry, G third inversion would, although the pull is still from the F back down to the E. It's like, oh, I can't stand here for too long. So it does pull in the same way as it would do in a third inversion chord, but because those chords are not very closely related at all, it doesn't feel like our standard harmony that we would expect in this kind of situation. It feels a little bit Phrygian, so that's why I would think about this F major chord, because in, you know, Spanish music, classic Spanish music, Andalusian flamenco and things, and I guess the rhythm there adds to that feel because it's got quite an offbeat nature to it. That might be a person who isn't in the know saying that. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with flamenco music, but it gives me that vibe. Feel free to tell me otherwise. Yeah, my fave. I let the beast in too soon. I don't know how to live without my hand on his throat. I fight him always and still. An interestingly long phrase there with loads of words. I let the beast in too soon. I don't know how to live without my hand on his throat. Was that it? So yeah, it doesn't rhyme. It just gets the words in. Yeah, and it's just using 3 notes. B, which is kind of in both of these chords. The A, which is in neither of these chords, and the G, which is really only in that second one. But let's see, does Fiona only use it? Yeah, she actually manages to time those G's so that they are actually in the chord. So she goes, hand on its throat. At least the bigger ones. Hand on its throat. I don't know what else to know. That said, the A is constantly clashing with the G sharp in the E7 chord. So whether or not that's deliberate and intentional, and whether or not it made sense to do, even if it was, that's up for conjecture. But anyway, it sounds good. Oh, darling, it's so sweet, you think you know how crazy I am. But really, this does feel very, very improvised as a melody. There doesn't seem to be any specific deliberacy about it, apart from just that a few specific words we get emphasized, like how crazy I am. But really, that's only emphasized by where it's fit into the rhythmic spectrum of the piece, rather than by any note value or note pitch. So yeah, Oh Darling is a bit higher. Interesting. You say you don't smoke easy, you won't go, but I know, and I pray that you will. Fast as you can, baby, run free yourself. No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, we extend our 2-chord jam up to a G, and it does feel like it's going from an F chord to a G chord there, at least to me. So here's our E and F jam, and then E, F, G, B minor, I think. Yeah, B minor, and then back to E, and then we've got one of these classic descending lines. Is that E minor? Yeah, it is. So we start actually with E minor there rather than E7 that we've had previously. E minor, E flat augmented, G on D, and then C sharp flat 7. No, not flat 7. C sharp minor 7 flat 5, C sharp half diminished. Lovely classic. Bow, 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 fast as you can, baby. Ah! Metric modulation. It's just so instantaneous as well. So we've got such a change up. What are the things we've got here? We've got piano, we've got bass, we've got drums, we've got Fiona singing, and we've got this thing in the left ear as well. And that is the only thing really that carries on. Fiona's clearly on a new vocal take here, no shame in that, but the vocals feel very different. What might be that? Is it just a different placement? Yeah, well, they're doubled. We've got two different vocals. They actually might be the same vocal, but they're doubled. They're in one in each ear. We've got the thing going in the left ear still, and the drums have totally changed. We've got a shaker, we've got, which sounds like maybe toms, maybe very muted toms. And we've got a very percussive bass sound going on as well. And has anyone noticed that in the previous section we were going 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going in a totally different time signature, really. Now, I say it's a different time signature, but actually the beats line up. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah! You see? They line up. But previously we've been getting 2 beats in the space of each of my calls there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. But now we're getting 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you could also see it as we're still getting 1, 2, but now we've got swing beats in the middle. But Fiona's voice isn't going in swing time, it's going in 3s. It's going fast as you can, baby, fast as you can, baby, fast as you can. Okay? Whatever you want to think of it as. It's 2s against 3s all of a sudden, when before we had such a clear, tight, beautiful, crisp, straight time signature in 4/4, and now we just have 3s or 2s or something. Anyway, it's great. It feels so amazing, and it's so amazing that it is actually metrically the same on the grandiose scale. Why do I say words sometimes? So if we had on the small scale it's 1, 2, 3, 4, but on the larger scale it was 1, 2, and it's still that. It's just on the lower scale that things are different, which is great fun. So fun, love it. Carrying on, we get to the end of that section, and then there's this pause, and then we come back in with the original Yeah, woo! In the other ear there, which is like a tritone again. But it's in harmony as well. I think the harmony does similarly. Something like that. Yeah, fun anyway. Same kind of thing here, but the wah wah in this ear is now doing it on that second beat and the 3 and beat as well. So it's emphasizing those beats even more, and we've got a slight counterpoint to that. It's actually at the same time, so it's not really a counterpoint at all, but it's going on G sharp and A. So that's giving us an A to this F chord. So now we are looking at more of an F based chord with an added 9 and an added sharp 11. Cool. So I really like this bit of melody. It's nuts. There's no, well, maybe there's some planning to it. The chords are just going as we expected in the other section, but there's so much more effort to fit this to more notes of the scale. I really like that just wibbly. It feels like, yeah, it's going C, C sharp, D, no, sorry, D, C sharp, C, B, like na 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 na, but there's just such a wibbly way to get down the melismatic way that's great. Soft in your bum, but I soon go hungry for a fight. Is that right? No. And your bum, I soon go hungry for ah. I think that's what we're looking at. Yeah. Can't be that straightforward. Something like that. Yeah. Think about how previously she'd aimed quite consistently for that G, open G. Now she's very deliberately using the G sharp. It feels almost not sarcastic but gleeful with this I will not let you win. It's like, and I will not let you win. Nice, happy, clear, major melody. We don't get so many of these on this album, so it really makes a difference when we get it so emphatically and deliberately there. It's really fun. Whereas the part before that is just so out there. Yeah, and then which is interesting itself because it uses the C sharp. It also has a chromatic E flat or D sharp, but that's less important. The C sharp isn't really in either of these chords, but there's space for it. Even though in an F chord we would normally expect a C, because we haven't got that, we haven't got a C, and we also haven't got a C sharp in that chord, we've got the space there for someone maverick like Fiona Apple to decide to put in that C sharp, which is lovely, really enjoyable. And I do like that phrase as well. It doesn't quite feel as interesting, but it's stronger, higher. It's got the energy.
So if you catch me trying to find my way into your heart from under your skin.
Same thing here with the extension of our thing. And are we going to the same place?
Fast as you can, baby, scratch me out, free yourself fast as you can.
Yes, and we are continuing in this place. Now, I didn't talk last time about actually what's going on in this section really very much. I talked about the instruments and the beat, but we've also got, it's basically a C major chord, then kind of like a C minor chord, but the E flat is in the bass. And then I think it's G with a D in the bass, and then something on a D flat. Let's have one more listen. Yeah, so that's just well, it's the same chord that we got into this with, same kind of thing. We've got that same moving chromatic line going from E to E flat to D to C sharp, and then eventually ending on C. But when we start with C, we've got the E again, so it keeps going down in this loop, which is fun. But when we get to the C, we haven't got the E minor chord we started this loop with, so it doesn't quite feel the same. And yeah, the chords that we use there are not the same. It's a C sharp. It's a C major chord, C minor chord with E flat, a D chord. A G chord with D in it, and then the D drops to C sharp or D flat if you like, but it's more complicated to think of it with the D flat. A C sharp would then make it a C sharp minor 7 flat 5, and then that leads us back to the C. So we've got those 4 chords going round and round. Lovely. And it's a longer section than it was before. And then yeah, that time we just pause on the C for a bit. C, 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 C. Yeah, and then we're into a new section. Now, what's going on in this section? This piano! Okay, so this is very now clearly in threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Lovely, lovely waltz kind of feeling to it. It's so slow in comparison as well. I wonder if it's still on the macro level, giving the same beats. And do I mean macro? Probably not. Let me know. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my! Yes, we are. We are in the same still. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So the threes which we're going through the previous section are the same. They're the same threes, but we've got rid of that 2 which was going against it. So we've got the threes, but we haven't got the kind of dominant 2 in that section. Fast as you can, baby. Now it's just. So we're keeping the things the same on the higher level through this whole song so far, at least. We've kept the same rhythm going. We've just had the detailed part of the rhythm flip on its head 3 times now. Okay, so what chords have we got here? Well, G, F, yeah, so it's mainly G, F, and A minor, or A minor 7, definitely. Quite important to have the 7 there, I think. There's actually a G chord with an F in the bass, G third inversion, and I think this is going to take us somewhere we're familiar with. Let's just check this whole section again. We've got some quite fun organy keys in the background doing improvisey sort of things. It feels quite fun just giving a counterbalance to Fiona's voice, because everything else feels more like it's giving the background in this section.
But most of the time it does. And I get to the place where I'm begging.
There's quite an emphasis on the E in both of these chords here. Na, 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 na. And it doesn't fit in either of those chords. It makes that G a G6, which is nice, and then it makes the F chord an F major 7 chord, which is lovely. I think we just had an E minor chord there for a moment. Let me just have another check of that. Yeah, so there's an E minor chord, and it's just added in extra. And there's our G7 chord on F. But we just go straight back into the same section. But now we've got a really fun phaser kind of effect on the piano, which we wouldn't expect, but that's what we've got. So it's like the piano is coming in and out of focus. Basically the high frequencies are being cut and brought back very quickly.
And you give me some more.
We've also got more real drums in this section. I should have said that earlier. It doesn't quite feel like the fast as you can section, because we've got real drums, very clear drums.
Of your drugs.
It feels like there's a lot of reverb on the piano too now. It's really thickening and opening up the space quite a lot.
I'll be your pet if
Oh, and there's some strings.
tell me it's a gift. 'Cause
Pretty
I'm
straightforward, not doing anything too shocking.
just need a little bit covered.
The drums though are doing their own thing there. They're keeping time, but they're not keeping a specific set of play the snare on the third beat or anything like that.
'Cause I'm tired of wise, choking on wise. Just need a little bit covered.
And then we've got a pause on a really nice it's like an E flat major 7 chord with a quick sharp 11 resolution, sharp 4 to 3 resolution from Fiona, which is nice. And then this is clearly all just like the beginning, leading us straight back into the beginning. It feels like the beginning. Lovely. Exit from our rhythm here. We feel we've gone a bit far from this particular rhythm, even though the large beats are the same. It is just a bit of a big transition if we were just going to go straight from that back into the thing. So instead we have a little bit of a pause, a drum fill, and then we're in.
I left the beast in and then I even talked with giving notice to choose about again.
Again.
More I saw the uneven winds complaining, blame Mr. Lamb.
Okay, and in this section we have the organ still, which we didn't have on the previous section, and it is giving proper counterpoint to the melody. When the melody sort of starts ending, then we've got just filling the extra space, which is a great compositional technique.
If you're getting any bright ideas, quite dear, I'm blooming within. Fast as you can, baby, wait, watch me. I'll be out fast as I can, maybe late, but at least about that.
Okay, so previously in this section we've kept to if we think of the beats as going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, each vocal phrase has been ba da 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 da. So it's basically three bars with an empty bar, but that is not happening anymore in this section.
Many bright ideas, quite clear I'm blooming within.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then a big breath, big audible breath. That's so funny when people keep those in recordings. I love it. Oh, I've just exerted so much. I don't mean to make fun, but I do love the artifice. While nonetheless, maybe that was done in the studio, but they've decided to keep it in rather than make a pristine recording, which I think is great. I really enjoy it. It's honest as well as being clearly deliberately chosen. Anyway, 8 beat phrase rather than 4 beat phrase. So we've joined together 2, and we haven't just done that, but there's extra lyrics that have gone in the middle to join the 2, so that we keep going ba da 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 just between those 2 notes. It's not the most inspiring melody, but it really has a propulsive feel, especially when we get the same thing again rather than the fast as you can. Just slowing down there, we keep going ba da 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 da, and it's like, oh my goodness, when will it end?
Fast as you can, fast as you can.
And now she's just having fun with it. It felt like there was a bit of extra reverb there for a moment. Yeah, there is. Just for a moment, just go fast. A lovely roll there on the drums, and we're in back into the first section. Gosh, okay, and this actually has a feel of a organ solo, because you can hear the organ go. It's not very present, but it's there. Yeah, it's adding some really crunchy harmonies to those chords, which I'm quite enjoying. We're getting a lot of the G sharp and A stuff. Oh, were you surprised? Yes, of course we have the same long outros that we've had on several of these tracks. Yeah, but here we've got a solo to go over it. Look, Criminal was a big success. Why would you want to ruin the formula that made a big success? Maybe to make more interesting music. Well, anyway, this is still good, so leave it alone. I really like it. In the other headphone, there has come something like that. Something like that. Oh yeah, there's much more. Much more sharp 3 Phrygian. Yeah, so we've got the E7 chord being spelt out with the added F. Yeah, it's a cool thing, and it feels like it's on something percussive, like a xylophone or something, but it's through a very distorted sound, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it is. And the organ is freaking out! It's so fun. The extra little fills from the drums. Okay, and the piano has dropped out, and I think the bass has dropped out, so we're left with just the drums, the organ, and the xylophone, let's call it. No, the drums and the xylophone go. Oh, and there is an extra thing just in the background there. Yeah, a little bit of extra organ, maybe 2 different organ tracks playing at the same time. And yeah, the shaker. Or something shaky sounding just to end the track. Again, a little bit of a ramshackle ending. I don't know, it is quite fun when that is the case. Let's move on. Great song. Great song. Theremin. Theremin's new. We've not got theremin on this album before. Ah. Same kind of ensemble. We've got some guitars, we've got some piano, we've got some bass, and we've got some drums. The drums, though, sound so different to how they sounded on the previous track. Let's have a listen. You know, this is the intro where they're a bit distorted, but then so tight, clear, in your face, and then in this track, bah! So much bigger, but also less distinct. Like this really feels like there's a lot of room sound on these drums. Like Steve Albini might have produced them, although no doubt he didn't. But it feels so much more boomy than the previous track. The previous track was very, very tight and concise sounding, very clear. This is just so much more overwhelming. Okay. Okay, interesting chord sequence. It's basically B minor and A minor and F and C. Now all these chords do fit in a key together. If you want to think of it as a standard key, you would think of it probably as C major. No, you wouldn't. You'd think of it as G major. They're all in G major, but we've not had a G major chord. So is it in G major? Let's say just no. So is it in E minor? The natural relationship to G major is E minor, but no, it's not in E minor. We've not had one of them either. So it's in a mode featuring the same chords. Featuring the same notes as the other 2 scales, the major and the minor. It's not in major or minor. If we think of this B minor as our main chord, which we could, that would mean we were in the Phrygian mode of those notes of G major, let's say. But really that B minor doesn't feel like our rest chord. It feels like our first chord. And it is the one the theremin is going for. That's a B. And it's actually a B7 chord anyway. Which complicates things, but actually overall makes things clearer. So that B7, we would expect it in E minor. Really what it's saying is that this is our 5 chord for E minor and we just haven't got to the E minor yet. 5 to 4 to flat 2 and then to flat 6. The flat 6 we would expect in the minor, the flat 2 we wouldn't. So the B7 and the F really are clashing with each other in a specific way. And in fact, now I think about it, we don't get B minor and F major in the same key because B minor has an F sharp in it. Silly me. Anyway, yeah, that's what we're going for. We're sort of in an E minor, maybe in E minor Phrygian, but we've got a dominant 7th as our B chord, our 5 chord. Okay, anyway, that's all much of a muchness. How does it sound? Dark. It sounds like it's in 2 different places. The B and the A sort of go together. But then we go somewhere else for the F and the C. they're slightly brighter than the other two. We've got these bow sounds from the guitar. It's again very indistinct in comparison to the previous track. It feels like the drums very overpowering, indulgent kind of sound. Again, we've got the swing groove back as well here. So a lot of the features of this album do come back and back. These songs feel very connected through musical means, not just because they're on the same album and not just because they're arguably in the same genre. Specific musical ideas are coming back and back, which is cool.
I couldn't take the embrace of a real romance. It raced right through me. I'm much better off the way things are.
Okay. I'm much better off the way things are. That sounds about right. That was an F to an E again.
Embrace of a real romance.
F, E, D. Yeah. So we've got F to E minor to D minor and to A minor. So again, yeah, we've got that F and E connection, which is so strong through this album. So many songs have an F to E connection. It's really interesting. Like, part of me thinks that in particular is a little bit it shows the limitations of the composer in a way, because it's saying can't you use any different keys? But we know, at least now, that Fiona Apple is an incredibly capable composer of making loads and loads of different types of music. Really, we knew this at the time as well, but or at least I didn't. I was 6, but I came to know Fiona Apple, and I was obviously clear that she was a great talent from the beginning. Anyway, all this is a sideline for me to say the F and the E. You could take it as a laziness of connecting these songs just through having the same damn chords. But every single song is treating these chords differently. There's not a single one that uses the F and the E in the same way. On the Bound, we have the F minor. And then we have the F minor with the E in the bass, which is a shocking and amazing thing. On To Your Love, we've got lots of E followed by lots of E minor followed by a mixture of E and F for a moment, which then clears to F, and then I think we get C. Can't quite remember. On Love Ridden, it's not quite as clear, but it does happen, and we get the G going to F, and then down to E, or we get the E up to F, and then to C. That feels kind of similar to Your Love, but it's the rhythm and the ensemble there are doing a totally different thing. On A Mistake, how did it work in A Mistake? Yes, it was the connecting chord, wasn't it? So yeah, we got C to F and back to E minor, so, which was fun. On Fast As You Can, it was our main groove, but it's not using a full like F major chord most of the time there. So very, very interesting choices. And then here we've got it as the first 2 chords in another 4 chord sequence: F major, E minor, D minor, and A minor. And it's very, very sad sounding, isn't it? Very sad sounding chord sequence. It's all going down. F down to E, down to D, down to A. Ooh. And especially the D to the A is, oh, geez, you couldn't have taken us to a nice lovely C major. Yeah. That's actually a minor 9 as well, so you've got the extra one of those in there. At least I think you do. It sounds like that to me. Extra poignant notes. And yeah, the everything's depressed by this. It comes down and everyone stops playing. And then we're back into our previous section. So this is a little bit improvised, this melody, but it's very clearly following a rubric, unlike the previous song in the main section there. We've got that da 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 thing going on in this, which is actually kind of similar to what goes on in Fast As You Can. Anyway.
So don't even ask me. I'm much better off the way things are.
And that happened previously as well. So this one feels more the melody feels more like part of the piece, rather than we've got the backing and the melody as two separate things, which is kind of how it feels in parts of Fast As You Can. In this, they both work specifically together in a specific fashion.
Much better, better by far, by far.
And again, we pause there, but there's a really fun trickle sound, which has actually come in earlier. I'm sorry I didn't get that for you. Where did it come in? Maybe there? It's in both ears. It could be organ, but it feels a little more complicated than that. Yeah, okay. I think it's doing that pentatonic scale down, which is fun.
So keep calling me names, keep on.
Okay, and now we're in a different place. In G major. Lovely.
So keep calling me names, keep on.
Yeah, so that's G, E minor, B minor. And now the guitar lines, which were going down like that, are now going up a bit. What are they doing? Something like that. It's not quite that. It's not quite as happy sounding as that. But they're sliding up in that fashion. And before they were sliding down. So we've switched things round here. We are now on the upturn. We are doing things that are more positive sounding. And that's why we're in G major, which is our relative major to where we were, E minor. We were basically in E minor. Okay, you can argue about that. Anyway, we're in a major key now. We're very specifically in G major, and we're still not perfect because we're using B minors and E minors, so still a little bit somber sounding, but we're there. We're definitely in a better place.
I keep kicking the crap till it's gone. If you keep on killing, you could get me to settle, and as soon as I settle, I better be able to.
Okay, and there we had a bit of a extension on our previous chords, which were stopping on the B minor for a little bit longer, but this time they go E minor to B minor, and then down to the A minor, which feels quite hurtful in itself, and then we go to the F, the extra F, which is in our, it's an out of key chord. It feels a little bit more Phrygian feeling, or well, if we're in G major, it feels a bit more Mixolydian feeling, I guess. but it's yeah, it's certainly bringing us down a little bit more again. And then we go back to the A minor and the F. Okay, and now we're in a new section again. That guitar just slid us all the way up that fourth, and so it feels kind of, well, it feels very emotional. And Fiona's up on a G, which is nice, not too high, but it's definitely quite powerful sounding. The drums have got even bigger sounding if possible, maybe through more sort of cymbal-y type sounds. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and this feels really like the culmination of our F and E minor stuff. Oh, nothing. Ah, that often go from A down. The A feels like it wants to go somewhere else, or like it wants to hold on the F. And that would be a little bit more sweet, but instead the floor drops from beneath its feet and it has to come back down to the E. Ah. Oh. There's actually, that's a C chord. But it's so, most of the notes aren't C. Let's hear it from earlier. So there's our A leading back to the F. Yeah, okay. So the piano is playing both a B and a C at the same time. Now it's hard to replicate on the guitar in this E minor chord. So it feels almost like a C chord at times, but it's got such a heavy E in the bass that yeah, really that's not what it is. But then it's got this flat 6 or flat 13 dissonance going in that second chord, which is really powerful. Even though it's only back in the thing, it's adding just a little bit more tension to what would be a rest chord. Oh wow, such a powerful held up on the B there. As the B7 chord, it's our tritone substitution. Instead of going to the E minor here, the F goes to B7 and switches the whole harmony around. So now we're really, we're still aiming for the E overall. But this is where we started. We started with that B7, so well, it's a confusing place to be for anybody. And we go back to our first chord sequence, but the piano is playing in a very different fashion. Let's compare them. Yeah, so we're getting more of a bum-ba-daddle-diddle-diddle, bum-ba-daddle-diddle-diddle feel, whereas before it was bum da-da-dum-ba-dum. So those first two beats especially are much more fluid, much more moving for the piano here, and there's less emphasis on that second beat, yeah, which is more empty. Well, more empty, but we do still have the organ in the background now, don't we? It's very clear. Stuff. Yeah. It's a really fun chord sequence, that. Make a song with it. Okay, and now we're doing the same chord sequence as our second section there. F, E minor, D minor and A minor, and the guitar is joining in, sliding down in fourths, I think. And the guitar does actually have a slide on it, which I should have mentioned. It's not just fretted. You've got a slide. This is my rudimentary slide for today. Yeah, nice. There's two guitars doing the same thing, but like a fifth apart, which is nice. And then we're stopping on this A minor chord. Is that the right amount of beats? Two, three, four. Yeah. Big fill though from both the piano and the drums. Feel really in sync with that fill. Not the first time that's happened on this album, but it's really cool. Okay, now we're in the more happy section, broadly. And the guitars are sliding up again like they did before. Yeah, our F to A minor. Last time we did this, we went straight to the F, but this time no. This time we're not going to that powerful F section with the F and the E minor. We're going straight back to the G and the E minor and the B minor. So we're repeating what is the chorus section here. So we're keeping that positive feeling going this time. It just feels bigger. The drums are playing on the right, so it's like really constant feeling in the high pitch. Yeah, and there's a melody there that I didn't quite notice the first time. And the piano's playing it at that pitch, while the organ might be playing it here. It's sometimes hard to tell octave on organs, but yeah, anyway, it's playing it up a bit, up an octave. Okay, so the guitars are going back down now. Come on. And we've got an extended outro section just going between F and A minor. Oh, brutal. So we're still in a sad bit by the end of this song. An extra thing has come in the right ear. What is it? Okay, the piano's come out and everyone's finished. I don't know, that could be like a, sort of feels like a Santoor patch or something like that. But it's some slightly plinky harpsichord maybe. And yeah, that end reveals a bit more in the texture. Still got that theremin note going, which is nice. Just suddenly stops for the next song. Get Gone, my second favourite track, really only for one main moment in this, which we will get to, but we're back with the brushes. Which track was it? Was it Paper Bag we had the brushes on previously? Yeah, so Paper Bag and Get Gone, we've got brushes on the drums, which have a real jazz connotation to them, but they just feel softer, don't they? They just feel nice and a bit more sort of noisy, like a comforting white noise sound, like the atmosphere on top of a mountain. Okay, this is an interesting chord to start with. It's basically an F sharp major chord with the third at the top, which is very poignant, clear major sound, and the fifth at the bottom. So it's the second inversion, so it doesn't quite feel settled. So it's quite an emotional voicing, even just for this first chord. Yeah. So then we do the melody moves down overall, whereas the bass moves up, and it moves up only a semitone. We were expecting this to be like just to have a nice resonance there for it to go up a tone, but it doesn't. It goes up a semitone. So we have this big tritone clash between these two notes, and then the other note in there is an E. So we've gone from this F sharp major chord to, you could argue if you filled it out, you've got a D7 sharp 11 chord, but you don't have all those notes. We just have the D in the bass, the G sharp at the top, or the let's call it D sharp at the top, and then an E as well. So it's like an E chord or an E dyad with a D in the bass. Anyway, it's pretty clashy, pretty poignant sounding. I love it. We've again got a swing groove. We're really just using those brushes on the snare, and it's just Fiona Apple and the drummer. So we've got the piano and the singing and the drums. And when we stop on this chord, we really stop basically for the whole four beats there. Yeah, and the melody is imitating what's on the piano. The vocal melody is. She's singing the same notes down an octave. And then she carries on with those two words, get gone, on the F sharp, which can't be more declamatory. It's like absolutely clear what this song is meant to be saying to you, the person who the song is about. Maybe you at home. Maybe. If she met you, would she like you? I often ask myself these questions. Okay, well this time she didn't follow the melody of the piano. She actually made up her own melody for a bit, and then da, da, as if she made up her own melody. It's all her melody, it's her song. But she follows the bass going ba, up, again up an octave, but following one of the parts and then following the other. It's a cool thing to do.
Humble dwelling.
Again, fitting in an extra bit of melody there. Okay, got some tinkles that came in there. Some chimey kind of sounding things. Yeah, very distant, very reverby.
You got your game, made your shot, and you got away with a lot.
So she
turned on.
Another stop from everyone else, but this time Fiona going through that stop. Everyone stopped. Turned on. So instead of get gone, it's turned on. Two different notes. So it's less deliberate, or it feels less deliberate. It feels less powerful, and it's not meant to be powerful in that way, because it's not an order, you know. But there's still attention drawn to it in a different way. There's subtleties to what's going on there that are really, really satisfying for someone who's looking as deep as this. And obviously you don't need to, but when you do, it's nice to find something.
So put away that meat you're selling.
Again, gosh, the way that the drums change, right? We've had loads of drums changing through these tracks, going from distorted kind of sounds to just very big, beefy sounds, and then these clear ones as well, coming through at the precise emotional impact moment. Suddenly we've got real drums, real stick drums. That's what we've got here. No more brushes. Doesn't it add a lot? Actually, have we got no more brushes? Let's just check that.
That meat you're selling, 'cause I do.
Yeah, no, clearly that's not with brushes. Yeah, so it's a new drum kit, or at least Mr. Man has thrown away their brushes and now is hitting with some pure stick. And we're getting a bit of a key change too. Well, at least we're going to the 6th chord of the key. Maybe it's a key change.
Know what's good for me, and I've done what I.
Yeah, we've got a E minor chord. Now, it actually kind of feels like the E minor chord carries on while the bass goes to A flat. So E flat minor to A flat. Well, we could think of these in sharps. So D sharp minor going to G sharp. But then it doesn't feel like it's a clear G sharp major or a G sharp minor. It's probably G sharp major, just because we've had this groove before on the album. On A Mistake most recently, the 1 to sharp 4, 1 to major 4 feel, not 1 to sharp 4. We've had that before on the album, but it's not so clear from actually what's going on in the harmony, because the E minor chord stays there while the bass changes. So we end up with an unclear sort of you could say it's an A flat or a G sharp with no third. That's the important thing, and then it's got a 7th and a 9th as well. So G sharp 9, no third. G sharp minor 9, no third. What do you call it? Who knows? Yeah, and that's a good bit. We just shift down a semitone. We get back to our F sharp chord, but then we go down to F. So let's call that a G flat chord just to keep things clear. G flat down to F, which is a lovely chord 1 to chord 7, which is major. So we're really just shifting the world there. And the melody, and you're not benefiting, is really nice too.
And yet I'm sitting, singing again.
Yeah, so we go down to the E flat minor chord, and then we go back up to the F chord, F7 chord, and we get that melody again, which is sort of similar to what we got on a bit of To Your Love, I think. We might have a listen to that in a mo, but yeah.
Sing again. How can I do?
Okay, and now we're in somewhere else again. So just to recap what we got just then, we got this E flat minor going to the A flat, E flat, and then back to G flat, and then to F, E flat, going to F7, and we stick with that for a little bit, but then suddenly to C minor. When were we going to C minor? We just never expected C minor. We've not seen anything that would have said C minor so far, but here we are, C minor. The melody's quite nice. How can I do with that? Ba-da-da-da-da-da. I really like it when Fiona Apple puts as much effort into the melody as she does for the rest of the song. That's so harsh, but some of these songs I feel lack on both composition and in terms of melody, they lack on composition and emotion just in the melody, but there are clear exceptions to that, so I don't mean to damn the whole thing with that, and this is one of those clear exceptions.
Sing it again, sing again.
Okay. Now we haven't had this particular vamp before. C minor to G minor. But that's what we've got here. It's nice. There's something kind of like it in Limp, but
Nothing I figure out, I gotta get him out. It's time the truth is out that he don't give a shit about me.
and that's an F again, going to F7. Notably, we've not had the F to E connection here, which is cool. And then yeah, that's just one long C, but then we do something crazy. Yeah. Ding. Bang. It's not a full F sharp chord there, or G flat chord there, but it is. Yeah. It's probably the C minor chord is carried on, and we just get that G flat in the bass. Cool. We've got a bigger texture now. There's some strings, I think, in. Yeah, no, definitely. They're very, very clear. And the piano is actually playing higher than it normally plays. And it's normally quite a dark down, earthy thing in this album, playing very low, sort of just above the bass, or maybe sometimes in line with the bass, and then the octave above with chords. It's now playing a little bit thicker and higher. Yeah, so that C goes to the G flat, and then we get this nice yes, F13 chord. That's a great that's the main bit of melody there, going from E flat in the C minor chord to a D in the F13 chord. Oh, there's our F chord. That's actually going to take me a bit of time. What's that? Is it just that? Surely not. Oh yeah, so it goes down to an E minor chord. It doesn't quite feel right. But it is, yeah. One more time. Yeah, maybe that's just lingering on the. So it's just maybe got an extra C in it, which makes it an E minor 7 chord. But then we're going somewhere totally different. We're again in second inversion on this F sharp or G flat chord, G flat major. We're in second inversion again. But we've got a totally different feeling, haven't we? We've got the bass and the piano playing very staccato. No drums. But then the drums come back in. Nice bit of a violin melody over the top there. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff that fits with the our beginning chord sequence. Yeah, picking notes from the D there, an implied B in that chord there, the G sharp, and then the D again. Oh no, we're going to have to think of that in flats. Oh no, so the D is actually an E double flat. The B is actually a C flat, and the I've disconnected. Never mind. The G sharp is actually an A flat, and the E there is actually an F flat. Oh gosh. Well, just because of that F, that's the only reason why I would say it was necessary to think of it that way. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, so we are back into our first section, but we've got a different feeling to it, entirely different feeling. But we still got that melody, only slightly screwed. Going up the whole tone scale there. I mean, it's just a little bit that is included within the scale we're using. So it's not really the whole tone scale, but it has 4 tones, 3 tones, 4 notes, all a tone apart, all next to each other, so it feels a bit like the whole tone scale. It's fun. Okay, so we didn't have any lyrics in that section. It was just a brief period of some slightly different texture, bringing it back to the beginning, and so that we can kind of get back into our E flat to A flat groove section. And we're back with the stick drums as well. The violins are really taking over there for a moment. Yeah, follow the chords a bit too closely for my taste, but it's powerful. And yet I'm singing again, sing again. How can I deal with this? Same transition here. I'm gonna heal from this. He won't admit to it. Nothing to figure out. I gotta get him out. It's time the truth was out that he don't give a shit about. Yeah, and I like that. It sort of feels like, I mean, it probably is an F7 chord the whole time, but it feels like we add that 7 in when Fiona gets there. You don't give a shit about me. Okay, yeah, changing the melody note there to a more clashy one is interesting. Hey, Ronnie Smith. Doing well, thank you. Okay, and same transition there. Yeah, back to our second inversion chord, G flat second inversion. How many times can it escalate till it elevates to a place I can't breathe? So this is more like the beginning section, isn't it? Where it's very soft with the drum brushes and the piano just playing. Yeah, and Fiona's more copying that with her voice as well. Yeah, streaming's good, thank you, Ronnie Smith. I don't stream every day, I just stream once a week at the moment. Hope you enjoy it. And I must decide if you must arrive, then I'm much obliged. Again, we've got that quavery vibrato that we had on one of the earlier, ones. To up and go. Just a little bit of extra space there. That's all we needed. We've had those in the first section as well. It's been nice. Just added space between each of the verses, not something that comes that often, just a little bit of extra space. And realize that it's no sacrifice because a price is paid and there's nothing like so many words here, but it's cool. It's very full of feeling. Fucking go. That's my favourite bit. That's my favourite bit because well, firstly, she's being so aggressive. Fucking go! So, out of nowhere, we've been so quiet and so sweet and yeah, talking very, trying to sort things out maybe in a very clear way. But then, damn, yeah. Fucking go. suddenly we're just in that thing. I kind of don't really like that we get the drum fill at the same time. It feels maybe like that we did need a bit more space on the vocal there. I'm sorry, Ronnie Smith, I don't actually play games, and I'm therefore on the wrong platform. I'm just going to talk about music though. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. And then we're into our E minor, E flat minor section with the A flat, this kind of groove thing.
'Cause I've done what I could for you, and I
Okay. And the violins are here in this section, but they're not quite as aggressive. So yeah, so that's fun.
what's good for me, and I'm not benefiting.
I tell you what is aggressive though, Fiona's voice here is like right on the edge of just descending into grit. It's really strong.
Instead I'm sitting, singing again, singing again, singing again, sing again.
And that extended version, normally we'd just get sing again, sing again. But this time we get singing again, singing again, singing again, sing again. And then we're in. So it's, yeah, real dynamic choice. Very fun.
How can I deal with this? If you won't get
And this is
with
just like what we had before,
from this, he won't admit to it. Nothing
our
will
chorus
figure out.
section.
I gotta get him out. It's time the truth was out that he don't give a shit about me. How can I deal with this? If he won't get with this, am I gonna hear from this? He won't admit to it.
And she's giving more, what do you call it? More, well, more emotion, but she's also improvising the melody a bit more. It's really giving it more, yeah, emotion. And that just, you know, adds towards this end song. We've got less than 10 seconds left, so there's not going to be much more left to it, but it really is ramping up to that ending.
Then I figure out I gotta get him out. If time the truth was out that he don't give a shit about me.
Ah, yeah. Big, like F9 chord. You don't give a shit about me. And then it changes to the C minor just before everything drops out. And then we get that last me note, which is clear. It's fun to end on the word me and for it to be only you. And it's like, oh, I guess this is all about me. But then what you've just said is not this is all about me, but it's he don't give a shit about me. So you're kind of worthless from this person's perspective, but then you are also showing your absolute worth, which is really cool. I really like that. Yeah, so yeah, Ronnie Smith, my goals are non-specific. I am really just intending to entertain and inform and educate people on good music. That's what I want to do. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, that's all. I hope anyone seeing this now or in the future will want the same. We've got one more song from When the Pawn, and then I am going to say goodnight. And I'm also going to try and do another stream at some point, which isn't old music, which is looking at new music. Hooray! Hopefully relatively curated by me rather than just random new music. But yeah, something, I don't know what it might be. I'm going to try and cover some of my favourite albums from this year, like especially ones that I don't think are going to be covered in other places so much, like Psychobab, who I think are an amazing band, and I really like the Declan McKenna album, but I imagine that's going to be covered in other places, so maybe that'll wait. But I'm sure I could do some stuff on the Smile album and the Glass Beach album. They've got lots to talk about, so that'll be fun. Anyway, I Know is the ending. Oh. Oh, what a classic tearjerker. Boom, oh, it's like has anyone seen Clockwork Orange? How we get that at the beginning from the Purcell funeral music for the death of Queen Mary. That's basically what's going on here. C major going to F minor with a B leading us back to the C just by that semitone change. Good, lovely stuff. Have we got a what kind of meter are we dealing with here? Do you think it's going to be swing? Do you think it's waltz? Do you think it's just a straight 4? No, it's a waltz. We've got 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then that's the kind of antidote to this C F minor that we wanted. We just go to A minor, G major, back to C. Very, very soft, straightforward chord changes, giving us a real nice, comfortable feeling.
So be it, I'm your crowbar. If that's what I am so far.
That's a lovely melody. Da, 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 da. So we start on the G and we end on the A flat of the F minor chord. Via the E flat, which is a blues note. It's not in our C major chord. It's not even in our F minor chord, although it would fit pretty nicely there. But we get that extra little bit of tastiness.
Till you get out of this mess.
Yeah. And that slightly more major feeling melody. Till you get out of this mess. Yeah, great.
And I will pretend that I don't know of your sins.
Yeah, she's playing around with the E flat. It's not always quite there. We'll pretend was a little bit lower, and then I don't know of your friends. It's like it's there, but she's not singing it with any commitment at all. So yeah, it's almost sounds like an E. Maybe it's an E flat. It's more of just a deliberate, let's call it a quantum ambiguity of sound, halfway between. You could pin it down, but you would be missing the importance of that note if you did so.
Until you are ready to confess.
Okay, not quite the same chord sequence there. Yes. I did know it for a brief moment there, and then it slipped my mind. Yeah, so the important thing is that from the A minor we go to G7. No, we don't. We go to C7, but it's got a G in the bass. C7 leading us to an F major chord.
Confess, but all the time.
Okay, so then that's F to D. Back to F, but F7 this time.
All the time.
And D7 as well, D7. So these two chords are not closely related. We've got an F in one, we've got an F sharp in the other, we've got an E flat in one, we've got D in the other. Actually though, because Fiona sings the E flat over this chord all the time. So it's like it's a flat 9 on top of that chord. Very, very nice stuff. And then we're just back where we were again. C. well, strictly not back where we were, because we had the C, but then we were going to to F minor, but now we're going to that F7 chord. So we've got another 1/4 groove here. We've got a lot of 1/4 grooves on this album, but they're not always major and major like they are here. So I haven't seen it as a very specific similarity to pick out, but it is there.
And you can use my skin
Okay.
to bury secrets in.
Yeah, interesting change of melody here. We're back to the F minor chord. You can use my skin. So we get a little bit of that E just before the F changes back to C. Very sweet, powerful bit of melody there.
And I will settle you down.
And again, the clear major melody. Da, 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 da.
And my own suggestion.
And that time, on suggestion, we get the B, which we have over that F bass, leading us back to the C, but we don't go suggestion, which would be maybe the most classic way to do that melody, but we go suggestion to a lower place, a little more morose maybe.
I'll ask no question.
And there we have the B flat. So we're occupying a space between two different scales really. If we think of C as our locus holding us in place, we can think of a major scale, maybe just a major pentatonic there, but then we also, well no, when we have the B too. So it's our major scale, but then we also have what's much more of a C minor scale for some of our chords. So it's going really shifting between these two modes, between these two chords. But then when we get those ones though, especially that C7, that's shifting us much more towards the major tonality, but well, really an F major tonality here rather than a C major tonality. And there's the 7, and there's the D again. Oh. Yeah. And we've got that lovely semitone change between the E and the E flat, between these two chords. Oh, it's so enjoyable. Oh! So this is an interesting chord because it is an E minor, but we've got some extra notes coming in on those strings. Something like that. So just some chromatic figures making things not quite as clear. It's really an E minor 7 chord. Maybe it's actually, maybe there is a major third in there, because it feels like we're going da, da, da. So like that. I can't quite hear it though. But then we do resolve as we would expect for one which had a major third, which is that we go to the A minor. Nice fill there. The drums drop out just briefly, and then they come in with that fill.
I can't help you out.
Yeah. And then yeah, an interesting change. We go back to the A minor, and then still, I think let's just check that. Yeah, so it's the F7 going back to C, then we get very much a C Hendrix chord with major and minor thirds in it. Yeah, one of my favourite chords. I don't subscribe to that it's a C7 sharp 9 chord. I don't subscribe to that theory. Ask me why. Actually though, as we fade away, it seems more like just a minor chord, C minor. But then when we come back in here, it's definitely major. Oh, yeah, and that one, we hinted towards it before, the E over the F minor chord, but here it's held for the whole time. So for the time. Okay, really nice.
So for the time.
This time it's the E flat. So she held the E the first time, and now she's holding the E flat. Isn't it? It's so different, this one, to the rest of the album, because it's so melody driven. We've got the chords fine, and the drums are nice. We've got the brushes back, and the strings in the background are a little bit lush and soupy, but they are affecting. But the whole song rests on the melody, really. That's by far the most important thing in this song, which is not true for a lot of the other songs. Yeah, and we didn't get the that we got on the previous bits there. Just got that held high note.
If you just consider this, even if it don't
C7 to F, to D minor, and then yeah, that is what we got last time. I just forgot. Yeah, the F goes to D minor, and then it goes back to F7, and now yeah, we're in a different mood. And it's the F7 to D7, D dominant 7. But it just lasted one time that time. Previously 2 times each. But now we're back to our main section again. And it just flowed straight in, which was really lovely. Holding that E again. Are we going to do the E flat? No, not this time. Very different. Building just slightly there. Oh yeah. That's what we've heard that before. Sing it again, sing it again. Na, na, na. Same kind of melody we've had before, but it's still very, very cool. And it's over the D7 chord here. Meet away. So it has the same harmonic situation as on the previous ones as well.
To find you love me and tell me so.
That was a bit new. You should find you love me, tell me so. C to A minor to C. Yeah. Just a new little bit tacked on to the thing. Just for a few different words with a different feeling to the rest of them. Yeah, a really nice thing. Not a conventional thing in a song to just add in a slight extra bit of section here and there, but that is what's happened here. Are we going somewhere new though? A minor?
It's okay.
Yeah, we are. Oh, maybe not. Maybe. Yeah. So there we got A minor to D7. Now the D7 to F7, we've heard that before. Normally it goes back to D7, but here it goes up to G7. The 5 chord of the key, we've not heard it so far. will it lead us back to C and straight to bed? Yeah, it will. Thank goodness. That's just what we need for the last song on an album. Ah, so sweet. Such a sweet ending. What are the words there? Yeah.
To find
you love me and tell me so.
It's okay. Don't need to say it.
Yeah. So in comparison to quite a lot of the other songs on this album, which have a real biting bitterness to them, this one is much more at rest. Therefore, a perfect final track. I really like this long, long feathered, what do you call it, brush thing on the snare. Yeah, for ages. It's really nice. Okay, and we've got the C to F7. That's our final groove here, is it? Let's just make sure. We've got lower strings, much lower strings, and they're building just a little. And then just at the end there. It's probably just an ending C major arpeggio, really nice. And the strings fade out slowly. And leaving just the piano. So a pretty simple final track there, and a really satisfying conclusion, and didn't actually feature nearly as many of the tropes that the rest of the album has, did it? It was very different to that. It was more more just a song, just a very nice song. I don't need my headphones on now, so I can take them off. Yay! Free those ears. You can't see them, but trust me, they are there. Okay then, so, well, that's that album. So yeah, like I said earlier, when I had my first actual chat with someone, which was nice, I am going to try and do a little bit more, really just looking at one other album in the same kind of way. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that it is worthwhile. So that's that. Bye.